Hey everybody, what's going on? Holiday up. It's good to see you. How are you? Welcome to the show. Of course, it's me, Bill Sylvie, the Dungeon Delver. And I hope you guys are having an absolutely stellar evening. All one of you who are watching now, wow. Wow. Well, if there's anything that I know about how this works, the first of all, the counter is not always accurate, and second of all, people tend to drift in late in the evening when they realize what I am up to. But I hope you guys are doing. I hope you guys are doing fine. I hope you guys are doing swell. I had a really, really excellent day. So let me tell you. Um, One of the things that I do, and it's rare, but I still do it. But one of the things that I do is I do professional dungeon mastery. It's just a little service, call it what you will, that I provide companies that want to do team building events and they want to have fun playing D&D. I do that over the airwaves, much as I live stream to you guys, albeit to a smaller group. And no, the live sign isn't up. The battery for it is dead right now. I need to get I need to just get a cord and plug it in. But anyway, so the folks that I had was a programming team from GitHub, and if you know your way around computer software, hey George. But I had some folks from GitHub come and they played. They did it as an event in the morning, which was the middle of the afternoon for me because they're out on the West Coast. So we played some original D&D. I kept it lightweight. I kept it simple and easy. And if you follow me on Twitter, you would have seen the pictures of the dungeon that I have laid out on the table over here, which was nice because I had two cameras going. Let me see. This is going to look like ass because the lighting's not right and everything. But if I click there, so you guys can see out on the table, there's my Santa hat laying off in the corner. Hey, Zachary Milvin. Hello, hello. So I have that, and then I have the camera that I use for the dice was pulling another duty, and it was actually pointing. It was the close-up camera, and then the first camera scene you saw was kind of the 10,000-foot view. Yes, Dwarven Forge. Dwarven Forge is what I had. Although I've got some terrain I printed myself, and I've got some other bits and bobs that aren't Dwarven Forge. But anyway, so they got through about a third of the dungeon in 3 hours. So we kind of had to skip over some parts because they wanted to see the dragon. And the dragon miniature was, of course, Azarath. It was the red dragon painted up by Paint Minis Live, Bill T over at PML. Now, here's the thing. They were screwing themselves up for a fight. And what actually ended up happening was one of the players said, maybe there's something we can offer this dragon. And I didn't make it a huge ancient red dragon. This wasn't a super powered party. I will mark that, Patty, and I will come back to you. I like 33 hit points would have been, and that would have been more than enough to deal with them. They were 4th level original D&D characters. I'm gonna say something about that in a minute, Hypercam. But anyway, so they're like, well, okay, because there's like a bendy hallway that leads to where the dragon is. And one of the party clerics said, I'm going to step forward and I'm going to try and talk to the dragon instead of killing it. And so he walks into the dragon's lair and proceeds to parlay. And I roll. And he gets boxcars, which in OD&D is like the red dragon is like, well, okay, dear, what do you have for me? What can you offer me? And this dude who had never played D&D before, he knew computer games. He knew computer fantasy games. He grokked enough about it that he parlayed with the huge red dragon. And she said, well, I'm going to gather up some of my treasures, which now includes you, and fly away. So there was one party casualty, the little human the dragon took away as a companion, and the day was saved. The dragon was gone. And it was that very, very cool, avoid unnecessary encounters moment. And you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. So I thought that was a pretty cool way that it ended. And the fellow, I actually did this for Jeremy Rule. It was a team that he has at GitHub. Jeremy has been on the show. He introduced me to Bob Antone, who of course does that great Owlbear song outro that we have. It was Jeremy's team, and he was so pleased with it. I did pretty well today. Let me just say, I don't want to be crass. I did pretty well today. Let me answer your questions. Not a bunch of you in chat, so I didn't really have to star those. But anyway, so Patty asks, how do I like using mini in terrain? I love using minis in terrain over internet games. As long as I can get good camera angles in, I love it. I absolutely love it. Hypercam says Dwarven Forge pieces look amazing. They're crazy expensive, but I would find them completely worth it if I knew I was going to use them regularly. And that dovetails nicely into Patty's other statement. They do look amazing, but you can make similar stuff super cheap. You absolutely can, and I'm going to talk about that. Now, let me tell you what. When it comes to homebrew terrain, Black Magic Craft on YouTube is going to be the best channel. But I'm going to show you guys the $2 3D printer you can make terrain with. You can't make miniatures with it. At least I can't. But I'm going to show you guys the $2 3D printer. Actually, I'll price it and make sure. It was $2 when I bought it once upon a time, but that was almost 30 years ago. So it may be like the $12 3D printer. But there are a lot of ways you can do it. If you absolutely positively want to make this stuff and you want to make it no kidding around, high fidelity stuff, get like a $149 3D printer. Go to Thingiverse. And you download I think they're called dungeon lock tiles. I could be wrong about that, but just dungeon tiles. And you can just print and 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 print all the terrain you want. Am I knocking Dwarven Forge? Absolutely not. I love Dwarven Forge. I adore Dwarven Forge pieces. It's awesome. But if you want a lot of terrain and you want a bunch of sets, like the vast majority of Dwarven Forge I have is resin. I don't know that they still do the resin sets like limited print runs, but somewhat okay as far as number of rooms you can set up. Resin Dwarven Forge set will cost, I think, like $189 now for one. They were like $100 back in 2000, 1999, 2000. They're like $89. They held that price point well into the 2010s. They fought having to jack that up. But what got them was 2007, 2008, 2010s and everything are when inexpensive mobile phones started blowing up. And the bodies of so many of those phones aren't plastic. See, Apple went for aluminum and titanium and stuff like that. But the cheap ones, the cheap Android phones, Android 1 and 2 and 3 phones, resin. Which means that people who could work with resin were in big demand in China. So that made that market less viable. Can I send you some pics to Twitter you can share with the class? Pics of what? Pics of what, Penny? And I will tell you. But yeah, that was kind of a thing, and it's just more frangible, you know. I have Dwarvenite pieces, and they're fantastic. I can take them outside and knock one a quarter mile with a baseball bat, assuming I could find it. I could go pick it up and dust it off and bring it home and use it, and it wouldn't be an issue. So I have a lot of the Resin Dwarven Forge. But anyway, if you want to get into 3D terrain, if you don't have the time to mess with a 3D printer, because it does take time. Maybe you don't have the space. Maybe your man cave is smaller even than mine is here. Or it's just kind of a non-starter for you. Then yes, by all means, get Dwarven Forge. You know, if you're not a crafty person. But if you've got the time, yes, you can absolutely make your own terrain. You sent me some pictures of dungeon tiles you made with Dollar Store foam board. You sent them to me on Twitter. Did you private message? Well, I guess I'll find out in a second. Let me see here. Oh, and I was so happy. Big ups to DD Dice. I'd like somebody from DD Dice is watching this right now. But big ups to them because of oh, there it is. Okay, Patty. Oh, those are lovely. Those are lovely. I dig those. You have the low wall for easy miniature access. Very nice. That's quite nice. I'm going to put this on the screen if that's okay with you. Hey, Dungeon Minister. We were just talking about crafty, creative stuff. Yeah, and that's so. There you go, guys. That's dollar store. That's dollar store stuff. So look at what Patty did, guys. You know, the 3D printers at the end of his fingers. That is a lovely, lovely setup you've got there, Patty. So, but no, they as far as using it on camera, I love it. I really, really enjoy it. The one thing that I'm going to recommend is if you're going to do that, I like it more than a VTT. I'll be honest with you. I don't like a VTT feels like a barrier between me and my players, and distance is enough of a barrier already. But this actually brings me closer. It makes me feel more like I'm playing with the people at the table. But if you're going to do this, one thing I can recommend, and it's like I told my group today, look, this is absolutely not a board game. I said, you might see what you think is a board. You might see what you think are squares. We're not like, okay, I'm moving forward 5. It's, it's not like Hero Quest, even though that's the best game in the world. In those cases, it is my recommendation, even if it's a little immersion breaking, use one single miniature from the party as a guide-on. Maybe it's a neutral miniature that's brightly painted. And this is even if you're using terrain in person, because everybody's going to be reaching up and picking up their minis and knocking stuff over. Greetings, nosotros los lobos estamos regresando. Okay, los lobos is the wolves. You're going to have to help me with the rest. But yeah, no, we did get the on-screen die roller working today. Let me throw that for you guys. Let me see if I can bring that up here. Here we go. I was quite happy. One thing that perplexed me, though, was my dice were halved, and I don't know why. Was it because they were narrative? I literally don't understand why. Let's do green. Let's replace all. Okay, I must have had just like a half size set of dice. I should have gone. I should have gone with just substituted my dice, because I was like, I'm failing initiative and I'm missing these guys constantly. Oh, very cool. Very cool, man. I like that. But one thing though, now Patty, in that shot that we saw, let me bring that back up. In that shot that we saw, had they already explored everything on the map? Or how do you do Fog of War? I use the black cloths. I use the black felt and have it laid out, so it tends to ooh and ah the players. How do I treat rule standstills? There are no rule standstills. I just move forward. I don't stand still. Generally, I am DMing professionally for groups that either have players who are not familiar with old school D&D, or they're familiar enough with it that those things don't bind. So I don't get rule standstills. I mean, if it's something that I'm trying to decide, I'll pop a dice and, 1, 2, 3, they can see it. 4, 5, 6, they can't. It's a 5. Okay. No, you guys don't see anything down the hole. Yeah, you can send me a link, Patty. I'd love to check that out. And I'm going to send you a link to the Discord. So fear not. You'd asked about seeing that. I will get you a Discord invite. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. They were a lot of fun. The first person in the group, the first person to join the call, had not ever played a tabletop game, hadn't even seen Stranger Things, knew the words Dungeons and Dragons, and that's about it. And she got pick of the litter. She played a magic user. She dropped a sleep ball spell on some gnolls right at the beginning. Yes, we've got a video, Dungeon Minister, and if you get that. Yeah, so there's a there's the dropping the sleep spell. She was so excited to cast magic. She wanted to use light. I told her she could use light offensively to blind a monster in the eyes, and the party convinced her to save it for the fight with the dragon. And then you had someone come in and literally just talk the dragon down. So poor thing, she didn't get to use her. She didn't get to use her her light spell on its eyes. So this was a lot of fun. When I was kind of winding up, when I was announcing the game and what would be going on, I'm doing my spiel. I'm telling people, D&D and that sort of thing. And literally the first comment from one of my players was, "I need the coffee he's drinking." I don't think of myself as that energetic. I just thought that was fun. He said, "Oh yeah, I did voices, man. It's D&D. You got to do the voices." And then they were laughing because now OD&D just has charm person. So I let them drop charm person on one of the gnolls that they ran into. Yeah, so I was talking about me give Noel this voice. Me talking to party. You are my best friend. Prem is Grug best friend. And so they decided that it sounded like Cookie Monster. They're like, awesome. We're fighting the Cookie Monster. But the dragon, I tried to pitch up and give sort of a sibilant voice. Because it's Azarath. It's a female dragon. So I tried to pitch her voice up and give her a sibilant voice. I'm just going to call you Lobos, my dude. It'll take me longer to say your name than it will. Let's see. DMing your nephew's niece's group and decided to use very rules light OSR instead of 3d6. 1d4 minus 1d4 for modifiers instead. I am intrigued and confused and slightly angry. I don't know why. I like it. No more 3d6 for abilities and then checking modifiers roll. Oh, I get what you're saying. 1d4 minus 1. I see what you're saying. Okay. Can I do the dragon's voice? Wow, can I do the dragon's voice? Okay. It was about 12 hours ago. No, because we started at noon my time, so it was only about 9 hours ago that I did the dragon. Let me see if I can remember it. Come closer, puny human. What is it you have to offer me that I, Azarath, do not already have in great abundance before you? Magnificent, is it not? So that was Azarath. I was a little more growly. I've been talking all day, so if I try to make it more growly, you guys will actually see my trachea fall out in a bloody spaghetti heap on the table. So yes, that was Azarath. You intrigue me. Your honeyed words make me desire to take my treasures elsewhere. And unfortunately for you, dear human, that includes you as well. So she grabs Prem up and scoops up some of the higher value gems and magic items and flies out of her cave, leaving the rest for the party. So yes, that was Azarath, and there was a lot of fun. I had an ogre with a Cockney voice come out, a very genteel Cockney accent. Hello, good to see you all. Welcome. You look like an interesting bunch. Would you like to come in to me home for a bite of lunch? I didn't mean to make a poem there, and I didn't during the game. But they realized that he probably intended to eat them or ambush them, which I did. I did get a couple of traps on them. I had the famous swinging stake fence. Let me see if I can get this. Let me see. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. Probably not. Okay, you see, do I have my... Yeah. Anyway, I have my my stick, the talking stick, the pointing stick, really. So over in this corner, if you guys can see where I'm pointing, that swings around. That is a 3x3 grid of stakes. And despite me telling them, you can search ahead for traps, the halfling did not. And so when they went down that hall, you can see the portcullis next to the planter's can of, or the can of planter's cashews. Hey, Brian. So many folks. I have so many folks. Wave of Mutilation, Gristle, you, Kyle. Gosh, there's... so I guess I should say good afternoon to you. But anyway, so they opened this portcullis. I just moved it aside because I was taking pictures that I put up on Twitter. But anyway, this portcullis was here. They open it, and the Hobbit thief goes up here, and he didn't bother to check for traps. So, click, blam. I rolled 3d6, and I only got 6 stinking points of damage on him. So, he survived that blow to the face. 2024 will see Me Have Stick finally released. I think I owe like 2 people physical copies of Me Have Stick. I am sorry, I'm a ripoff shit, and I took your money without ever sending you a game. Hey, in the grand scheme of things, I'm still doing way ahead of the Far West, right? Am I right? So yes. But anyway, so yeah, we had that. And then over here, which you guys can't really see that well. Where is it? So over here, first of all, you have one of the best traps. You have the swinging log trap, which actually works. There is a button on the floor under that trap that if you bump it with a pencil will cause it to swing down. There are triggers here in the place where it rests. But over here, you can just see there's the stick. See it right down there at the end of the poker. That is, it's got greenish resin water in it, and the same halfling that got a face full of steak was the first to cross. And I said, okay, I'm going to modify it by your dex bonus. There's not really bonuses in OD&D like that, but I said, give me a saving throw, and this is going to be a saving throw versus death. And they're like, oh no, he's going to die. So he slipped and fell in and proceeded to take damage from the green slime. And I was like, okay, what are you doing? Well, I'm getting out of there. Well, how you going? You going down? Are you going to try and climb back up on the log? You going to come back towards the party? And he said, I'm going to climb up on the log. Give me another saving throw versus death, modified by your dex. And he rolled a 6 again and just slipped back down, continued to take damage. Prem, the same guy who convinced the dragon to leave, asked what was in this barrel. Asked what was in this barrel over here. And I said, oh, you know, provisions, that sort of thing. And I thought about it. And I said, oh, there's salt. And he said, can we dump the salt in the water to neutralize the green slime? And I thought about this for a minute. And I figured the green slime is kind of slug-like. Yeah, you think that'll work. You think that'll probably work. So they dumped the barrel in, and it I said the water proceeds to fizz and foam, and the reek is god awful, but the hobbit stopped screaming in agony. So they ran over and scraped the rest of the slime off of him, and threw a Cure Light Wound spell on, and continued on until they got to the river junction here. Which you guys can see the Minotaur there. He was actually over here with some bugbears. They parlayed. It was very well accepted. And they said, we'll fight your strongest warrior, who happened to be the Minotaur. And so their strongest fighter fought the Minotaur and won. And at that point, there were literally like 15 minutes left because the session was going from noon to 3. There were 15 minutes left, or 9 to noon their time. So I removed all the covers. I showed them all the magnificent stuff that they didn't get to see. Of course, you guys can see the Moloch idol here, and just all various sorts of things. And they came all the way around to way over here, which you guys cannot see at all. And they got ready to fight Azarath. And all right, Patty, we'll see you around. Take care. They got all set to fight Azarath, and Prem ran into the room and on bended knee appealed to Azarath's other desires. I didn't get gross. I didn't get crass. I don't do that in my game. I don't do that in my home game of nearly 10 years. I mean, we'll make ribald jokes, that sort of thing. Like I did the Christmas game. And the group found themselves on 20th century Earth, late 1970s Rhode Island, rural Rhode Island, for reasons that I'm not even going to go into right now. And they were in a convenience store. And they were spending gold pieces. Now, 1.6 ounces of gold for like 2 cans of coffee because they fell in love with coffee. So yeah, the equivalent of like $2,000 today for a couple of cans of coffee. So yeah, they gave the teenager at the convenience store like 40 or 50 gold pieces. And then when his shift was over, they called up the his friend in a van was coming to pick him up, and there was enough room in his van. And I played him as like, the 70s stoner kind of guy. But I got really off track there. But while they were in the convenience store, one of the they know, Moors that fit the 20th century. So one of them just like reaches over behind the counter and picks up a copy of Playboy from the rack, and they're like, "Oh, well, I see. Well, she's interesting poses. She seems to be, is she a courtesan? Is she a saucy tart that belongs to someone?" And I have two, soon to be three members of the fairer sex in the party, but that's as gross as I'll get. I'm very much a fade to black kind of guy. So yeah, I didn't say, yeah, Prem, she flies you out of that cave and strips your armor off with one claw, and so describe how your character feel. I didn't go into that crap. But yeah, so he was whisked away by her, and she left her treasure. And so that was the game. They really liked it. I got a very, very, very nice tip. Everyone seemed to thoroughly enjoy themselves, and I'm quite happy. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. But anyway, so that's it. You know what? The camera's way up. I feel like I'm sitting in a hole. I'm gonna crank the camera back down. Hold on a second, guys. There we go. That's better. That's better. I'm not like down here anymore on your screens. You're thinking more like PCs being avoided like lepers. Yeah, no, nothing like that. No, I was looking online. I was like, "There's got to be a way. There's got to be a way." Sometimes, like when I want to move the camera, or if I'd like to move the camera to point to other stuff in the room and everything, is there like a gimbal rig you can get, like a motorized gimbal rig? Yes, yes, there is. Much as there is a way for me to not have to hassle with the TSA, but just fly from Orlando to, say, New York without having to, screw around with airport regulations. It's prohibitively expensive. It's called buying my own private jet. And a good motorized gimbal rig is just prohibitively expensive. I mean, it's crazy expensive. Been reading the Andy Diggle Warren Ellis run on Thunderbolts. I don't know that one. I know who Warren Ellis is. Don't get me wrong. Of course, I know who Warren Ellis is, but I don't. Let me see. I wonder. I want to look now. I want to see if the prices have changed on it. Because, I mean, during human malware season, when everybody was locked in there, every piece of camera gear, the arm mount for my camera, this piece of Elgato kit that my camera sits on, was weeks to get here. I had it mounted on a tripod, but I was like, yeah, I'd like something like fixed on the table. Good Lord. Just wow. Let me see. So motorized camera gimbal. I mean, here's one that's used. Let me see. Those are stabilizers. Motorized DSLR. Let's do that because I'm getting a lot of hits for phones. Any of you guys doing any holiday gaming? Okay, this is not as expensive as they have been. Here's a Manfrotto MVG 300 XM modular gimbal. That is $299, regular $699. That's from B&H Photo Video. So they ain't terribly cheap, but they're not what they were during the coof. And here's one that's $499, $369. I just wouldn't hate to have one, that I could just hit a button and move the camera around. The thing about it is when I start getting to the, hey, yeah, I could actually afford that, we then start getting into, it's 3.5 stars or 3.25 stars, and only 49% of the reviews are 5-star, and they're all obviously written by Chinese bots. So it's like, yeah. There's this thing called throwing away good money after bad. Yeah, I mean, this one, 305. I mean, there's a single axis head that's only 94. I'm sorry, I know you guys care about this stuff about as much as you do about letting paint dry. Brian Smaller, trying to get my local group to play 1E here in my small provincial town in New Zealand. May have to resort to roll 20 in a VTT for your fix. Let me tell you something. I'm going to get on my bully pulpit here for just a minute, Brian, in a positive way. I'm going to get on my bully pulpit and I'm going to say this. Fellow grognards, I know that a great many of you do not give a damn about growing the hobby. All you care about are the same 6 guys you've been playing D&D with since you were 10 years old in the summer of 1981. I get it. Okay? You think anyone with anything that's not like one of those Nokia, you can hammer a nail in the wall with it, things is a smartphone, Twitch addicted, millennial, or that if you say the word computer, you might as well be playing a video game at your table. Brothers and sisters, this technology, cameras, internet, computers, it is a blessing, not a curse. Okay? Now that grumpy old grognard contingent off in the corner, they always sit at the same table in the open gaming space area at the con. The table's total age is something in the high hundreds. You don't give a damn because when you're dead in 20, 25 years, it's not going to matter anyway. I get it. I completely understand. Some of us want this game to continue and continue to be good and continue to grow. All right. I read the comments under the D&D Horror Story YouTube channels that I do subscribe to, and people describing stuff in D&D 5th edition, regardless of what I've said about the bones of that game, they might as well be speaking Chinese. Okay? It is nothing D&D that I recognize. And this may be a little bit harsh, especially around the holiday season, but I'm going to say this. I view that as cultural rot. David McCauley, greetings, welcome. I view that as cultural rot. You know, it's like the people who get vociferous about, well, listen, man, you've just got to contemporize. A paladin can be of any alignment, man, and any race, man, and stats don't matter to create a man. You just say you want to be a paladin, man. No, you just think it's a cool name to slap on your hodgepodge mishmash a character that you are going to put zero effort into playing. Being lawful and being good in character and having your character, like, there's a diamond the size of Thor's nut, but I'm not going to take it. I've already got a couple 100 gold pieces in my saddlebag. Old Grognard, greetings. Good to see you. I had a bottle of Old Grognard the other day. Anyway, that's not the direction I want the game to go. That's not the future I want for the game. I will fight against that future. I will fight for a future past. And if that means some eye candy, going out on the internet, meeting up with people, that's fine. Let me tell you guys something. Let me explain something to you guys. Once upon a time here in the United States, for 3 decades, possibly more, one of the most beloved hobbies was model trains, model railroads. Kids loved it. Mom, dad, son, daughter, have a big setup in the basement or in the den. You know, a home in the 60s or 70s without a model train running around the Christmas tree on Christmas morning, like, what is this, communism? People really enjoyed it. Lionel train sets, you guys, you might not know this. Lionel train sets, they were so successful. They were so successful that they opened a line of toy stores. They got enough money, Lionel Play World, and something started happening in the 70s and in the early 80s. All the shops that had been around for 20 years, all the shops, model railroad stores, you know, they sold model kits. You know, $4.99, you get a 172 Sherman tank, you know, monogram model, some testers paints, have a lot of fun with it. They all started to dry up. All the train model train stores became model stores, and then hobby stores, and then they became tabletop. Do you know why? Because mom and dad would send little Bobby or Billy or Jane or Janet into these stores to ask about beginning train sets, and these guys in their 30s and 40s were more interested. Are you going to spend $200 on a single train? You know, which was serious money back then. Well, no. How do we get started? Well, there's some toys. There's some toy sets over there. And they fuck off back to the back of the store and their Rock Island line set. And they pushed people out of their hobby. And guess what? Model train collecting is dead. It is dead and it's never coming back. The fossils who still do it and pretend that what I said it just never happened are getting fewer every day. Fewer and fewer and fewer and fewer every day. I don't want that to happen to classic Dungeons and Dragons. So you grognards out there who think that, oh, if you're going to play on Roll20, you might as well just be playing World of Warcraft. You're just turning D&D into a video game. And if I can't play face-to-face, I'm not going to play at all. When you go to your FLGS and nobody has even heard of first edition, or if they had, it's the butt of a joke that they heard on the internet. Remember, that's the future you wanted. That's the future you wanted. One of the first employees at TSR, I believe it was either Michael Mornard or Tim Cass. Do you know how he got his job? You know how he got his job? There was a rule in D&D that was unclear, and he picked it up and he called Gary. Or may have even been chainmail. But he called Gary on the phone. And what was supposed to be a brief conversation turned into a long conversation, which turned into Gary running a game for him on the phone. And at the end of it, he got offered a job. That's hypercam. I agree with you. I want you to grok what I just said. Gary played a virtual tabletop at a time when, gosh, I guess 73, it would have been PDP 5, IBM S350s. A university might have a mini computer. There was probably 10, maybe a dozen computers in all of Wisconsin, and none of them were in anybody's house. Yeah, the OSR stinks on both ends for me, unregistered. Who's this Gary person anyway? Oh, that's cool, George. I remember seeing some D&D modules at hobby shops, at train and model stores. I wish I'd bought some. They actually had a cool pen and paper section at a pretty cool model hobby shop. As I was out, it was 89, and I was getting out of pen and paper for a while before I started to dip back in. Oh, right. Who is Gary? Our son, Gary. What the hell are you talking about? Just deleted him from their brains, from mom and dad's minds. But anyway, that's me getting off my pulpit at 1 o'clock in the morning. I am not going to continue on ranting about that, but I stand by my rant. I will stand by my rant. If somebody pings me tomorrow on the internet and says, "Hey, you said this last night. Were you drunk or high or really sleepy?" No, I stand by it. Adapting to avoid extinction doesn't mean just giving up and playing 5e like 5e. There's plenty of ways to play virtually. And I get it. If you're in a major metropolitan area and you know 5 people that are willing to play AD&D and another dozen, hey, Uncle Brat, how are you this holiday season? All right, Dungeon Minister, one heads out, one heads in. But you've got to be, if you're spread out like Brian is. Oh, I hope you're feeling better, Brian. Then absolutely. I mean, railing at somebody for doing VTT. I said I was not going to talk about this, but I am. Railing at somebody for doing VTT for their old school games is like getting mad at somebody ordering parts for their vintage car over the phone instead of going to a U-Pick place. Look, sometimes it's just more convenient. And there's no shame in doing it that way. But again, I'm going on about it. So later on in the week, or rather as the because it's Wednesday, hump day. We've kind of crossed over the line. But as we progress, I will probably do a paint stream late tomorrow night. I thought about doing it tonight, but I was like, man, I can get stuff set up. So I'll probably do a paint stream tomorrow night. I'll continue painting on, of course, the lovely Sophie here. You guys saw me start painting her, so I'll continue on with Sophie. And we'll see if we can make significant progress on her and maybe get her done by Christmas. And possibly even late Friday night. But I am not I'm not gonna say, oh, here's a schedule and I'm gonna follow this exactly. It literally just depends on how much free time I've got. Maybe Saturday, maybe Sunday. The week following, things are gonna start to gel a little bit, but I also know we're gonna have a lot of people still out and about, and I've still got some stuff to think with. We will return to a more concrete schedule essentially after the 8th. Possibly on the 8th. It depends on a few different things. But at the very latest, by the 9th, I can tell you we will return to our regular broadcast. So I hope you guys can be patient with me. Will we have a Christmas Eve show? I'll probably dip in and wish you all a Merry Christmas. We've still got the Christmas Advent calendar. I hope you guys have been watching that. We still got 5 more days. That's the Doodragal Christmas Dice Advent calendar. So this is very hard to read. Behind each door, you'll find one of 25 brand new dice. Each Advent calendar includes one complete resin Christmas set, one complete handmade set, a complete acrylic set, a stone D something random dice. This is next to impossible to read. And even with the light right on it. Also, if you've been missing it and you don't want to like click next, or do whatever. Oh, Brian, my gosh. Oh, you know what? Let me put their link up. Let me put their link up on the screen. It's actually on Etsy. Udragal Gaming. Now it is linked, guys. Do me a favor, go over to a video and follow it so he can track properly where he's getting these clicks from. He's the link that is in the. You know what? I'm gonna. I can't remove that. Hang on a second. Don't follow that link. Don't follow that link. I'm gonna get a better one. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to my content. This will actually... All right. Follow that link. Follow that link because he can track where it came from. If you just follow the link that I just put up there, it won't work. So that is they. And anyway, I'm gonna go back because I have all the videos. I'm gonna do like one supercut video. I'm gonna put all of the Dudragal dice opening videos into a supercut video, which I expect 0 of you guys to actually watch. But hopefully you'll enjoy it. All kidding aside. Hopefully you guys will want to watch the whole thing for whatever reason. No problem. But yeah, prayers up for you, Brian. Yeah, that acrylic D4 today is just, or resin D4 is scary. That thing, that may go on a shelf, or I might use it all the time with a care to putting it away someplace so it slowly wears down and becomes less lethal. I mean, we kid about stepping on D4s, but oh my gosh. This thing is like volcanic glass sharp. So yes, please do check them out. And you're quite welcome, Bob. They have an owl bear plushie. I should get one. I should get their owl bear plushie. They have a mystery dice set for $7.99. Galactic Sakura. Handmade resin dice. Jade dice. Dice bags. Dragon's Red mushroom dice. This was really neat. You guys got to check them out. They have lots of cool stuff. I got cool stuff from them last year. A Ninja Zone dice. That's right. I wish I'd thought to put a cold one in the fridge. And then I was like, well, what I'll do is I'll put one in the fridge, and then at like the 1 hour mark, even if I stop at 1 hour, I can at least have one after. But I'm not going to drink at 1 o'clock in the morning. I can wait till tomorrow to have a libation or two. But yeah, they've got a lot of neat stuff there. So please do go and check them out. It's all in British pounds, proper money. Oh, yes, mismatched, oversized bills and, shillings, farthings, pence, and all that nonsense. Yeah, proper money. I'm just teasing you, Bob. Oh my gosh. So let's see what else is going on. Gonna drive and look at Christmas lights Saturday night, I hope. Local Gumby, greetings to you. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Yes. Praxis. Praxis is saying, could I do a deep dive rules video on specifically on the spell resistance of monsters from the Monster Manual and Fiend Folio? I mean, we've done a deep dive on the Monster Manual and kind of looked at the Fiend Folio, but I will be more than happy to look at the magic resist. It's a fairly straightforward concept. You have a monster. Let's say he's, got 65% magic resistance. Let's go over here. Okay, so he's got 65% magic resistance. I cast Magic Missile at the monster. Okay. 5, your missiles just go through him like he's not even there. They have no effect. Or let's say, I'm going to roll the dice first here, just for example. So we got 39. Let's say his magic resistance was 25%. Well, I blew it. So it was a lightning bolt spell. Well, I still get a saving throw. See, I blew my magic resistance, but I still get a saving throw. Oh, and I got a 4, so obviously I didn't make my saving throw. So I take the full damage. I don't know if they are either. Let me tell you guys something. So I mentioned this back around Thanksgiving. My friends Todd and Anna gave me a collection of first edition AD&D, some original D&D supplements, not official TSR supplements, but Judges Guild and the Arduin stuff. And basically what this created was a duplicate set for me. Round about the show's anniversary, which is March 20th. I'm just going to set it as March 20th because it's a week after the wife and I will celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary. I have actually the second half of I shouldn't say the second half of this year. I would say starting in really February. I started having an extraordinarily good year, and I have been extremely fortunate. I've had little ups and downs, but it's been very good. So in this pile of stuff, I have the GDQ modules. There's an L1. There's a B2, a proper B2, a Wizard logo Holmes basic B2. a Dungeon Master's Guide, a Monster Manual 2, or I'm sorry, a Monster Manual 2, and a Fiend Folio. There's no Monster Manual in there. But that is a stack of first edition goodness. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know what the auspices yet are. I don't want you guys to. I do not reach out to me and say, "Oh, I want that." Don't. I will ignore any and all about that until I announce how I am going to somehow select someone to be the recipient of it. I don't know if I'm going to part it out. I don't know if I'm just going to say, "Oh, you've never AD&D'd? Boom. Here you go." Might even throw in a print-on-demand copy of the Monster Manual, so they have, one really good monster book, the Monster Manual, and then a monster book and a monster book. And then a Dungeon Master's Guide and a Player's Handbook, and then modules to run. It's going to be something chosen. I don't know how I'm going to do it. But it's going to be something chosen very, very, very particularly. Not, I need another Dungeon Master's Guide, or I don't have that printing of Fiend Folio. Can I have it? I don't know how I'm going to do it. But I have had such great fortune over this year. A trip to Gary Con, a trip to Alabama to see the Tide play, this huge pile of books. When I ran that game today, I got an enormous tip from the dude that I ran the game for. So I feel like I got to pay that forward. And I'm gonna. There's a 2E Player's Handbook and a 2E Dungeon Master Guide. They're completely clapped out, but they're there. I have those what are they, encounter cards, that box of shrink wrapped encounter cards. Although I kind of know who those are going to already. But anyway, clapped out is like beaten up, just careworn. Like, you see a car, it's like, dude always has his windows down because the AC and the thing's busted, and fixing it would cost more than a new car. Or, would cost more than the value of the vehicle, has a suspicious rattle in it somewhere, that sort of thing. Yeah. Not like rotten, like, well, that's where somebody put a slice of pizza and used it as a bookmark. These are careworn books. These were worth Todd and Anna paying money to the guy for, or store credit to the guy for. But all of those things, it must go back around. And in 2024, probably close to the show's 4th anniversary, 2024. So it'll be 4th anniversary. I will do that. I will find a way to repay the community in some fashion, because I've gotten a lot. I've gotten a lot from you guys, and that is something that I am going to do. I have enough players' handbooks. I have enough Dungeon Master's Guide. The modules and such, like I said, they're duplicates. I swapped in the ones that I wanted and swapped out mine. So you're getting my modules. But I don't know how I'm going to do it. I know about when. I wanted to do it for Christmas, but I got these Thanksgiving. So I got these 4 weeks ago. So there was not a lot of time. I may have whatever system, I may have a guest judge. I may see if like Heidi and Eric want to help me pick who this would go to, or maybe Alan Hammock or Skip Williams or Errol Otis or somebody like that. Local, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. Anything you want to contribute like that, you can, my friend. Or if you know someone locally. But if you want to contribute something, that's absolutely okay. That is absolutely an acceptable thing to do. Yeah, I feel like the box of spell cards I'm probably going to send to somebody who I am a fan of. And maybe, possibly, I'm not going to share that idea with you guys yet, but I have an idea. Clapped out is what you are. Oh, I bet, Brian. I bet. Well, I hope you're coming back up. Local, you see my email address down there. It's coming on the begging strip. Which, by the way, guys, if you like the show, if you're like a new subscriber to the YouTube channel, and you're wondering, hey, how can I support this show? You can buy me coffee. You can support us on Patreon. You can do a YouTube membership, which I think the link is either down here or it's down here. For as little as $1 on Patreon a month, or $2 a month on YouTube. But at the $10 backer level, it's called Master Thief on both. Every month you get, in exchange, not for free, it's obviously an exchange. Oh, I bet, David. That sounds awesome. You will get a Dungeons and Dragons, an advanced Dungeons and Dragons module written by me. This month's module is basically going to be the AD&D version of this adventure that I ran for the corporate group. So you guys are going to get a chance to play the adventure that I ran for the team from GitHub. Doesn't that sound cool? And you can find out, Dungeon Masters, if your players are smart enough to try and parlay the dragon and get her to leave. Is Twitter down? I don't know. That's a fine question. Let's find out. But it has been an interesting year. Nope, it just loaded right up for me. Got some new followers. Some likes, some comments. I go home. I can't see my Twitter feed. Does this person follow me? Nope. Not following them back. Oh, I see. Maybe I will. Anyway, so Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, notifications work, feed is down. Would I indulge a non sequitur? Yeah, David, go. Fire. Hit me. It is 1:00 in the morning on Thursday, December 21st. You're asking me for if you can ask a non sequitur. My brother in Christ, do your worst. Do your worst. Oh, I see. Okay, there we go. I'll see if that's any good. Yeah, I mean, I would probably lose maybe 100 or 200 followers if I went through and I just nuked all the bots. The white figure on the top of the bookcase, that is an action figure. That is Motoko Kusanagi. She is the protagonist in the Shiro Masamune manga, The Ghost in the Shell. And she is also very dusty. I had some friends actually go to a big Japanese animation convention, and they bought me that because I like The Ghost in the Shell. And she comes with 2 interchangeable guns, although the other one is somewhere around here. I don't know where it's at. It's here in my office. But these are stockings. These are long stockings. And, of course, she has completely inappropriate clothing for police work. So that's who that is. I need to make her a stand because she doesn't stand up. I need to like resin or 3D printer stand. I am excited. I am getting ABS like resin for 3D printing. And it's water washable. It's water washable, which makes me really happy. So I'm not going to have to use IPA to wash it. It's water washable, ABS like resin. So I'll be able to print up more durable things. So I'm very excited about that. And hopefully it'll last. Hopefully it will last. So can I do this? Can I go home? Is the feed going to load? Nope, the feed's not loading. I can get the notifications. Getting a lot of follows. A huge fan of that film. She's floating above her base with all the tubes coming out of her. No, I know what you're talking about. I have the Ghost in the Shell manga, the original full color Ghost in the Shell manga that was published in, I think it came in, I believe it was Shonen Jump when it was originally published in Japan. And then it came out in the United States under, was it Image Comics? I think it was Image Comics published it here in the States. Now you're talking about being a huge fan. I have one of Shiro's art books. This is Intron Depot. And this is pretty much pure anime cyberpunk goodness. This is an amazing book. The major is in here somewhere. The problem is that the major is in here in a how should I say this? Cornography. It is the fan serviest of fan servy scenes that he has. He's even embarrassed by it. He's like, yeah, I think I went a little too far. I'm trying to actually avoid it. Here's some fantasy art. This is just some pure, it's still cheesecakey, but it's just some pure fantasy art. Yeah, Intron Depot is the name of this book. I don't know if you can still get copies of it. Let me see here. I think we're getting into we're getting into Ghost in the Shell now. I gotta be really, really careful. Yep, there it is. I was about to show you this cool mecha, but right across is just a straight up Vex scene. Two women enjoying each other's company in a vexual way. Here we go. Here's some giant robots, kid. And I have that one, and there's another one. I have the Appleseed Data Book. I wish I had all of the Appleseed manga, but I don't. But Appleseed Data Book is awesome. I'm going to go track that down one day. I wish I still had my my Ding Dang Battle Angel comics. Need to go back and recollect those because those were good reading. But I have Intron Depot 2. This is his, obviously, as the name would imply, his second art book. And he started getting into CGI, but also, despite the presence of the aforementioned adult material, some religious iconography. George said, I print out miniatures on FDM. Okay, all right. So, and see, right next page, straight up, cannot show that to you guys. That might get me in trouble. So I went to Barnes and Noble, and I was like, oh my gosh, there's Intron Depot 3. That's awesome. Yeah, the adult material in Intron Depot 1 and Intron Depot 2. Yeah, he's got furry stuff in Intron Depot 3, and I just noped out at that point. I was like, no. I mean, I still love his work, don't get me wrong. Oh, crap. Hang on. There's these lovely cover wraps, but they've torn around the back, so. But, yeah, so I kind of noped out with the Intron Depot 3. I was just like, not my tempo, my dude. And it's funny because there's a girl in Intron Depot 1 who kind of looks like a girl I was dating at the time when I bought this book. I mean, she even agreed. She didn't think it was creepy. She was like, oh my gosh, that does. Hashtag Twitter down is trending in the United States. How can it be trending? How can it be trending? I guess it could be trending on Facebook. People are bitching about Twitter these days, but I got to tell you something. Facebook is awful. Facebook is absolutely awful. I loathe Facebook. If I hadn't made actual friends that I know in real life on Facebook, I would know. I just would be like delete. Let me see. Let me see. Amazon. So there's apparently many of these. So Intron Depot 1, yes, it is available for $35.99, which for an art book is pretty good. Intron Depot 2 is also available for $44. Intron Depot 3 Ballistics is $75. Was there a fourth one? Well, there's one. Intron Depot. Oh, yeah, he's got all kinds of art books here. And what does Intron Depot 4 look like? Intron Depot 4 Bullets. You can zoom in on that. Oh, that's kind of neat. Anyway. So the next art book, though, that I've got coming is I actually requested. I've said before, spend a little on yourself at Christmas if you've got it to spare. And this year, as it happened, I did have it to spare. So I ordered the companion book, the other book by Regis Moulon, which I got this one last year. And I said, Regis, I noticed that you are offering a dedication on the inside for like 25 euros more. I would like that. And he said, absolutely, Bill, what would you like? And I was just feeling kind of flippant. And I said, how about a naked witch dancing by the fire? And he said, okay. And the next thing I knew, he was sending me update images, and this is what I got. Which, that's not really doing it justice. So that is the custom sketch that I got in Regis's art book, which is very Frank Frazetta-esque. If you like Frazetta stuff, you should absolutely check out Regis Moulon. He makes gorgeous artwork. And I could not resist the temptation to get, I mean, look at this. Just take it in. Yeah, Regis's stuff is really great. So I don't have his Heroica book. And so I ordered Heroica from his website, and he said, very well, Bill, since you're asking for another sketch, what would you like? And I looked at this, and I realized that what Regis had sent me, which is no problem, but let me just put that up there real quick. She is very much a naughty witch, an evil witch, if you will. And so I said, well, Regis, make sure the ink doesn't come off on my fingers. I said, how about a good witch dancing by fire? And he said, no problem. And he has sent me the image of the sketch, and I am over the moon. I am so pleased. You know what? I'm going to see. I can't remember if I put it up on my Twitter page or not. Twitter's still broken, but I can scroll down through because he sent me the completed sketch. Oh no, I can't even see my own. I can't see my own page, so I can't show it to you. He messaged it to me on Facebook. Well, let me ask you this: all 15 of you guys who are still dialed in. Practice, that's the same. I feel the same. Do you guys want to see the new witch picture? That's a good call, Grognard. Do you guys want to see the witch picture? If you do, it'll take me a minute. I'll have to go over to the editing PC and get it for you. 2 immediate yeses. Okay, let me go get her. I can do this without falling down. My legs are still tired. I stood up for 4 hours nonstop today. Okay. I really got to get that. That is a 2024. That is a 2024 thing, is to actually network these 2 computers together so that I can stop running back and forth and worrying about thumb drives and emailing myself crap and so on and etc. So let me see here. Let me see. There we go. And let's refresh. Oops. All right. Can I get this? You know, here. How about this? I'll download it. And that works. We'll do that. There we go. So now let me share it. Ian, hello. And that is what is winging its way from France. A good naked witch dancing by a fire. What can I say? Is she Anne Margaret? I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that to you to decide. I happen to think so. I happen to think she's Frazetta Girl hot. So that is coming from Regis, and I was stunned. Like, I think that son of a gun started working on this like before I paid him. I think he started working on her before I paid him, because I had told him, like, I think in November, because apparently the shipping price is going to skyrocket. He's like, please, please, please order it. Even if it's not by this date, please order this before the first of the first of the year. Even if it doesn't get to you by Christmas, after the first of the year, shipping rates are going to skyrocket. Is it Regis Malone? Regis Malone, Ian. I was just showing his book up before you dipped in. I will put this up on the screen. You know what? Let me see. You can actually find his stuff on Amazon. If I do that, is that gonna? No, that's not gonna mess you guys up because it's got that window. All right, so let me go over here. Rather than just wave this book around, I can actually put the link up. Now you have to go to his website to get the custom drawing from him, and it about doubles the price of the book because he has to ship it. The Watership Down bunnies. Oh, don't worry about them. Let's see. Actually, let me see if I can just. Yeah, here we go. ArtStation. So I'm going to put the link up there. So you can check that out. Well, I say, is that. And here is the book that is forthcoming. Although mine is a hardback copy. So yeah, I better take that down. Take it easy. I'm probably going to wrap up here soon, guys. It's like it is approaching 2:00 in the morning, and I wish that this were the holidays, the point in the holidays where I would just be like, so who knows? Yeah, it's who knows what time in the day it is. When did you sneak in, Kabuki? Here's Kabuki. Now I got it. Oh, I got to hang out for a little bit longer. I'm not going to leave. But anyway, so yeah, Regis's stuff is awesome, and I do recommend. I got a new art book. I literally cannot show you. I can show you guys the cover. If you are a fan of Hajime Soriyama's stuff, he does the Chrome Robot Ladies, amongst other things. I got to look at the cover of the latest book that I got by him. Let's get this out here first of all. Yeah, the cover is all I can show you guys. Hajime Soriyama, Rock and Jelly Beam, and Katsuyo Terada. And that is all of this book I can show you. But there's a series of 3 of them. Soriyama's books drive me up the wall. I have many of them. And most of them have wound up going out of print really quick. And I found out it's because most of his stuff, it has nothing to do with a hairband. Most of his stuff are printed for galleries. They create them for gallery shows and sell them through. Some of the more popular designs will see a larger but still limited print run. And then the rest, it's literally, if you happened to go to one of his shows where they were selling art print books of the works that he has on display there, otherwise, get ready to pay and pay and pay. I have a poster of one of his books that's unavailable. Basically, it was a hardback book, and the dust jacket was sold as a poster. I have the dust jacket. I think it was Naga 3. Let me see. I'm trying to see if there's any here that I can show you that won't just be straight up, you are banned, never come on our internet again. Let me see, that is Frazetta. I have a few Frazetta art books here. I've got a few Vallejo art books. Soriyama. Here we are. This is an example of one of the, before I show this, let me make sure I can show this. Okay, I think I can get away with this. Yeah. That's just from a gallery show. And I can't show you the contents inside. But that's from the early 2000s. And another thing that was given to me by Todd and Anna over at Gods and Monsters. Yeah, Naga. Oh, Kabuki. But yeah, Soriyama stuff, and it is of a specific aesthetic. It is very much of a specific aesthetic that I have one here called the Gynoids that is coffee table book sized, and I think it was even listed in the catalog when I bought it in the early 2000s as a coffee table book. It is this one. You guys can actually see it. This white dust jacket here that goes from the top of the shelf all the way to the, of course it would go to the bottom of the shelf, but it goes almost all the way to the top. Yeah, it's coffee table book sized. You would have to have a specific set of friends and house guests to put that on the coffee table. Now, I do have one of his other, I do have a book of his also. Is it, as I remember a few years, there it is. Last year, someone said, what is that red book I keep seeing in the background? And every so often, with his authorization, a publisher will put out a running up-to-date book called Soriyama Complete Masterworks. I disagree that this is his complete masterworks, because I have those books that I mentioned, and there are some lovely, lovely pieces in there that are not in here. So while this is a good, chunky book, hey-o, Denny H., you want to know what's in that big wooden box up on top of the shelf? What big wooden box? This one back here, like you can see it, like right here. Is that the one you mean? Tip-top shelf, big wooden box on the tip-top shelf. Here, this that I'm touching with the edge of the corner of the Soriyama book, next to the white figure, right here. Let me know if that's what you mean, and I will show it to you. Yeah, no, it's cardboard. Hang on, I'll get it for you. I got to stand up anyway because I got to fix the Soriyama book before it falls and takes down half the shelf with it. Even though that's like a quarter of the show's entertainment is saying, "Hey, what's Bill going to take down and cause to fall?" This is caught on something back over there. Oh, I'm caught on my copy of Warlock of Firetop Mountain. Steve Jackson. The other Steve Jackson. The good British Steve Jackson. Okay, what we have here We're continuing on with our Japanese theme because what we have here is a very dusty Maschinenkrieger SF3D Luna Diver Stingray model kit, basically. It's a model kit, 135. I knew it. One thing was going to fall. The Major took a header. That's why I need a stand for her. Nice, heavy ABS-like stand. But anyway, so the deal with that. Oh, you want to see the ball cap too? Okay. So I will tell you about Maschinenkrieger, then I will tell you about the ball cap, and then probably... She's fine. She's a cyborg. She got a lot of hit points. Hang on, I got a message. Oh, you could have just mentioned that. So, when Mobile Suit Gundam, I think it was when Mobile Suit Gundam came out in Japan, there was a mechanical and industrial artist by the name of Kao Yokoyama who was he did not like Mobile Suit Gundam and the very sleek, multi-story Japanese robot thing. He thought they were dumb and unrealistic looking. So he started grabbing model kit parts off of his shelf in his garage and started assembling what he thought powered armor suits would look like and spaceships to support them and that sort of thing in the future. He disagreed with the giant robot doctrine. He thought that it would be man-sized or slightly bigger powered armor. And so he had a lot of World War II model kits that you guys probably couldn't see, but there's like two stabilizer wings on the side of that. Those are the doors from a Porsche 911 model. And so he started sending it, like he would build these and send them to Hobby Japan magazine. He would send photo shoots of them to Hobby Japan magazine and just come up with these stories in English. The correct answer, Danny, is Macross. It's always Macross. He would write he sort of came up with this loose background about factions and it being in the I think the 40th century on an Earth after a Fourth World War where humanity had evacuated Earth and reconnaissance teams were sent back after 50 years and they found out that the Earth had healed itself over the course of 50 years rather well, but they didn't want the Earth to start being repopulated that quickly. But Australia, which had been the least affected by the war, was the place where everybody wanted to emigrate from the stars to. There's no E, by the way. It's Macross. Yeah, Emery, thank you. He wanted World War II model kits from the distant future, and he made a deal with Nitto to make very complicated model kits with edged copper grills, etc. Yes, okay, I'm going to take this roll-on deodorant thing and a helicopter dome, a helicopter's plexiglass dome for the thing's helmet and, the arms and legs off of an Apollo spacesuit. And the back is going to be like a cut-up motorcycle engine. And then he's going to do the copper plates and all those sort of things. And so we wound up with those model kits. but they were always tiny, limited runs initially. So at Wonderfest in Japan, which was like one day out of the year, if you just happened to be there, you could rock up to Cal's table and buy one of these kits, and those things became collector's items next to impossible to get your hands on. But anyway, so somebody asked about the hat. This is Palace Arcade, which is appropriate wear for my Hellfire Club shirt, because Palace Arcade is the video arcade in Stranger Things. Now, I saw this at Target, and I thought this is kind of a cool hat, but I wasn't going to buy it because it was $20. You know, it's merch. I don't wear this kind of hat that often. When I do, it's my Alabama Crimson Tide hat. That's right, Macross is in the past. The World War, basically the brushfire wars that were consuming the entire planet, those were going on in the early 2000s in the Macross universe. And the idea of a bunch of brushfire wars causing the major nations of the earth to diminish and start to collapse, why, that's ridiculous. That's just science fiction nuttiness. Anyway, no, I was telling my daughter about it. I was mentioning to my older daughter about this, and she said, "Go get the hat. Go get the hat. Go buy yourself the hat, Dad." So I went to I went back to Target, and the hat was still there, and so I bought it for myself, and good for her. So I have my Palace Arcade hat. Who is this Max? High score on Dig Dug. Yes. Mad Max. But anyway, that's the story with a hat. So long as Conan has Joan Jett's haircut, you remain a staunch fan. You know, I gotta confess something. It wasn't until I guess about 10, 15 years ago that I found out how much like real Conan fans hate the Conan the Barbarian movie. See, I knew Conan from the books, and I saw some Savage Sword when I was a kid. But good Lord. Good Lord, were people unhappy about that. Some people, some subset of people. He's not blonde, he's supposed to be black-haired. Conan was, in my teens to early 20s, Conan was Princess Bride. See, Princess Bride, I can quote Princess Bride all day long. I can never not find a situation that Princess Bride quotes don't fit in. Conan fit my teenage and early 20 years. But man, there's some people that, you know, I can't wait till we get a proper Conan movie someday. Or that Jason Momoa thing. Was that Jason Momoa in the Conan reboot? They're like, that's closer to it. You're just being contrarians. Yeah, I mean the score, everything. It's phenomenal. Oh my God, hat hair. Yes, I remember in 80 or not in the 90s, like, so MCA put out a rather poor Conan the Barbarian soundtrack. It's like 38 minutes long. The kitchen part of the kitchen / the orgy isn't in there, for example. Just so much of it was cut out. And then Very Sarband released a CD, which is one of my prized possessions. I love my Very Sarband Conan the Barbarian soundtrack. I mean, you can find it on YouTube. You can go add it to your list, or if you download a YouTube scraper and you can get the whole soundtrack yourself. It's like Blade Runner. The New American Orchestra soundtrack was the only Blade Runner soundtrack, other than when Vangelis released like 4 or 5 tracks from Blade Runner in the Vangelis Themes album, which was like a best of Vangelis. Until 1992, the 10th anniversary of Blade Runner, Warner Brothers released a Blade Runner OST, and again, it was pretty darn amazing. I don't have any thoughts either way, Danny. The Trauma, the Toxic Avenger stuff, it just kind of... I never knew anyone who was into it. I would see the movies, like the cardboard standees and stuff at the mom and pop video stores, but it never really resonated with me. But yeah, even at that time, people were like, yeah, I've got this Blade Runner soundtrack and I got that Blade Runner soundtrack. And then the 92 version released, and I was like, finally it's complete. And the more I dug into Blade Runner, the more I realized there's like a 5-disc, 190-minute Blade Runner soundtrack that has every bleep, bloop, violin strike, digital keyboard sound. And one thing that I really don't like is when people pad those things out, like the fan re-releases, and they're like, okay, well, there's this, but there's also these tracks that are inspired by Blade Runner that these musicians... And I'm like, that's not... No. As if you take that stuff out, you have the Warner Brothers soundtrack that was released in 92, the Warner Brothers CD soundtrack that was released in 92 with worse mastering and like 5 extra minutes of content. Now, one thing I always thought was funny, Danny, was Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Oh, goodness. Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD with Fatal Sushi. Wasn't it like a Japanese movie studio? There we go, back to Japan. Japanese movie studio wanted to like make an American... It was really weird. And then when they realized that Trauma was basically going to Trauma, they were like, oh my gosh. So anything else anybody want to talk about? Anything up on the walls? Any you see? Anything you want to ask me about? Because it's 2:00 in the morning. I've got store runs to do. I got all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff to do. Later today. There's my cat. She wanted into my studio. Sorry to do this to you, Lex. She wanted into my studio. All day, all night when I had the table set up, and all day today. And she was desperate to be in here and to climb on my Dwarven Forge and lie on it. It's cute when it's between my weekly games. This was for an event. This was like a corporate event. And I had this, like, I did not want to come out here and find out that she'd broken miniatures or thrown up on stuff or whatever. So, like, I locked her out of here. Can just go through all my stuff. I did not read 2001 Nights. What is my favorite fantasy anime? Now I haven't seen Goblin Slayer yet. I want to, but right now my favorite fantasy anime is Wizardry, Proving Ground of the Mad Overlord. What printing is my white box? Probably 7th plus. If I had to take a wild ass guess. No Balrogs, no Hobbits, no Ents. Good night, Bob. Be well. Just go through all my stuff, just every single thing. And this is a book about the Sistine Chapel. I'm so tired. Let me go to bed. It is an OCE, I can tell you that much. It is an original collector's edition. A deep dive on the Delver's Lair. Well, one thing that's coming first week, and that's like week after next, of January, is basically going to be a 2023 in review. I'm going to go through all my videos, which is going to be painful, and I'm not going to edit out of those videos. I'm going to talk about the videos. I'm going to link to the videos, but I'm basically gonna. You have a printing that says hot. Ian, is it in a wood grain box? Is it in a wood grain box? But I am running out of steam, guys. Somebody had asked me to talk about the 2 ebooks, and now that I have them, I may take a little bit of a look at them before I send them on to a worthy owner. But we'll have to see. We will have to see. I would love to see that, Ian, very much. Local Gumby, drop me an email, please. Take care, Uncle Brad. Yeah, drop me an email, Local. I'm going to go to bed now. I'm going to run the end credits thing. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you're watching it later. But anyway, everyone have a wonderful evening. I'll see you at least a couple more times before Christmas. And if you're heading out, if you're not going to be back, if like you're turning off the internet after this until the first of the year, then Merry Christmas to you. And I'll see you then. Here's Owl Bear. I know you guys like it. Good night.
Have you seen my owl bear? Here's to all the weirdos everywhere in the woods and in the air. Have you seen my owl bear? Should I shave off all my hair? Bobs are all around. Some live in tunnels underground. Some are fat, some are rich, some are sleeping in a ditch. Can you ride a crooked horse without a saddle way off course? Naked as a toad all the way to Smoky Joe's. Have you seen the little creep driving fast in his little green Jeep? He smells like fish and brandy, but his rotten teeth look dandy. Take me to the show, I don't care if fast or slow. From action flicks to dancing dicks, just take me